This is Dads Watching Sports. It's the show by dads who watch sports, for dads who watch sports, or just dads in general. Here are the dads with a plan for every hashtag dad life and sports fan, Kyle Castles and Michael Draper.
Welcome in to a brand new episode of Dads Watching Sports. It is episode 87. I am Michael Draper and he is Kyle Castles, and collectively we are the dads who watch sports. Kyle, it's been a couple of weeks. We got a lot to catch up on, both in personal lives and in sports world. Today's been a huge day in the college football world from the coaching carousel. We were just talking about it before the show. We sent you the rundown and had a couple of open jobs that we were going to talk about, and those jobs have since been filled.
And you sent it, what, 6 hours ago, maybe? I mean, it's not like you sent it two or 3 days ago. We're talking the last 6 hours. We've had some major shakeup in college football coaching.
We have, after just a phenomenal rivalry weekend, and looking forward to what is going to be just an awesome championship weekend coming up as well. So we'll get to that, obviously. We'll also talk a little bit about kind of what's coming up with us. We got some great guests that we've got scheduled finishing up this year and heading into 2022. So we'll talk a little about that. As well as, Kyle, we are finally going to finish the best tailgate food bracket. We are in the final four. Kyle, do you even remember who our final four dishes in the best tailgate food bracket were or are?
I know that the only one that matters, chicken wings, is still in there. So
chicken wings is still in there, and we've got three others that I will leave as a surprise for you as we go forward into that bracket. But we will finish that up. If you're checking us out live on our live stream, thank you so much. We would love to hear from you throughout the podcast and throughout the show. Feel free to shoot some comments, and if we like what you say, we'll put it up, and if we love what you say, we'll maybe put it up and even talk back to you. But thanks for checking out our podcast as well. Please feel free to subscribe and do all the fun things that you want to do with that. Share it with a friend or a dad or a mom or a grandma or grandpa or whoever you want to share it with. That would be we'd be much obliged. Kyle, we can't go any further without talking about we are on Sunday. Tomorrow is, I believe, Cyber Monday, and then we got Giving Tuesday. But if you back up a couple of days, we are coming off of Thanksgiving, which is always a fun holiday. Kyle, I think I read an article earlier this past week where it said Americans consume somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 calories on the day of Thanksgiving, which is getting close to twice the amount that you're supposed to. How was Thanksgiving in your household, and did you get close to the 3 or 4K mark?
I live at the 3 or 4K mark. I don't know what you're talking about.
Attaboy.
But we had a nice little kind of
little Saturday with the Home Depot.
Exactly.
Right.
No, we had a nice little Thanksgiving. It was low key. We went and had dinner, so we had nothing until dinner. We got up. We watched. It was actually Wrigley's birthday.
Yep.
And so we have this tradition of making pancakes on birthday mornings, and so I made him some pancakes and dyed them green, so he had green pancakes.
Very nice.
Didn't realize
not even St. Patty's Day. Starting his St. Patty's celebration early, huh?
Yeah, something like that. So this kid loves anything green. He eats vegetables because they're green. So I'm not going to hate on that at all, but so had some pancakes that morning and didn't have any maple syrup. No pancake syrup. We didn't realize till after everything was made that no syrup.
No good.
So I don't know if you know this, but there are different types of syrup.
Oh yeah.
And there is Karo syrup.
Yeah, I'm slightly familiar, but please educate me.
You can take that Karo syrup and you can put it on those pancakes, and it's just fine. It's not quite as sweet, but it still gets the job done. So a little Karo syrup, or as Wrigley did, he just took some chocolate syrup and put it on his green pancakes.
Hey, for your birthday, man, more power to you. Putting chocolate syrup on the pancakes. Are you guys like? Are you normally a Aunt Jemima, Mrs. Buttersworth? Where are you living in your normal pancake syrup land?
Log cabin.
Oh, well, get it. Log cabin. Log cabin.
Log cabin. What's
What
wrong
you
with
got?
log cabin?
There are a lot of things wrong with log cabin, and as somebody who lives in the 3 and 4K, Kyle, I expect much better out of you than log cabin
Look,
syrup.
it's cheaper than the other two, and it's still
But
sweet syrup.
pancake syrup is one of those things you just can't skimp on, man. You got to go all in. I'm gonna bring you some more syrup some point in time in the next couple of days. It'll change your life.
Look, here's what I will tell you: we don't do a whole lot of sweet breakfast stuff. If we make breakfast, I'm doing sausage or bacon, eggs, biscuits. That's what we do around here. We don't do a lot of sweet, so it's not a huge deal for us.
Okay, well, it's it'll change your life. It'll change your life.
Well, and then we watch the parade. Are y'all parade watchers at your house as well?
Not so much me. The wife definitely. Emma and her. So we kind of split duties that morning. Long story, but essentially, Hayden and I stayed here for a little bit. We ran a 5K. Our neighborhood did like a turkey trot type deal. So Hayden and I did that. The girls went on to the in-laws and watched the parade and made breakfast. So Suzanne is a diehard. I think she was actually in it one year when she was in the marching band. But yeah,
look at you marrying the band girl.
I know, man. The saxophone player at that.
Oh,
sax.
That's awesome.
Yeah, does she still owns the saxophone? Like, you see this closet back here? I'm pretty sure it's sitting in that closet. So
does she ever pull it out? Put on the dark shades and the beret and
no, I about went down a different road there, but no, we she does. I ask her to all the time, but I've yet to get a solo playing of the saxophone during our time together. So.
Suzanne, I know you're watching. I expect you to do that soon. Merry Christmas to Mike, a saxophone solo.
That's right. I think that I deserve that.
I agree.
It probably doesn't help me that every time like a Kenny G song comes on, I'm always looking at her like, hey, you gonna get a duet in? But we still have it, and one day it's gonna happen. So
absolutely.
So parade, yeah.
There was football the rest of the day, right?
I mean, come on,
Watch pro games until the game that shall not be mentioned.
The game that shall not be mentioned, and it will not be. We'll get into this in just a little bit, but you mentioned pro football, and we obviously had that today. But I've got a hill to die on here in just a little bit. So yeah, we were kind of the same. I mean, had a great meal. We ate like 3:00 or so, and so had a great meal and had a lot of family over. We had I think like 18 people at my in-laws' house. Had a good time. It was a good time. The next day was really special for our family. So as you know, and some of our listeners may know, my dad lives in an assisted living home, and for the better part since March of 2020 has been locked down in that assisted living home. And last week they kind of opened the floodgates, so to speak. Nice. Not only did Hayden and I get to go on Wednesday to visit him, and we got to go in his room and hang out or whatever, but on Friday we got him out. We broke James out of jail and took him to lunch at his favorite place, the Cracker Barrel, where he enjoyed pancakes and maple syrup. So that was really special. I mean, again, that's the first time he's been out of his assisted living home since March, like early March, maybe late February of 2020. And so to get him out, take him out, and he was excited just to get out and get some fresh air, so to speak, and go grab some food with the kids and everybody. So it was a great time.
Yeah, that sounds like a great time. I assume your mom was there as well.
Sherry was there.
There we go.
Yeah, it was much needed, and it's good to know that we can kind of continue to do that at least for the time being. One other thing that we did over this break, Kyle, that is is a little bit of a stretch for us, and puts a little bit of strain on any household, is we began the dreaded potty training of Hayden. So Hayden, it'd be 3 in January. We're like, all right, it's time. You've kind of given us the hints. You've done it some at school. It's time to go down this road. Mm-hmm. And my man has rocked it. Like,
very nice.
So much so we started Saturday. We were like all day yesterday, kind of balls to the wall going, no pun intended, with potty training. And we felt so confident, Kyle, that we got up this morning and we were like, should we go to church and try Sunday school? And my man went to church, went to Sunday school, held it in, went before he got there. We were golden. The only thing that we ran into was, this is kind of a parenting fail, is so Friday night we are we're finishing up I think dinner at maybe our in-laws house, and we're like, yeah, we're going to start this potty training, and we realized we did not buy any underwear. Like, we didn't have anything for him to sit in, and my mother-in-law just happened to grab some because she knew that we were going to do this. So the parents bailed out by Grammy.
There it is.
Having that, but congratulations to Hayden. He is it's been a big weekend for him. He's potty training, and he learned to ride a scooter. It's been a big holiday weekend.
Good for Hayden.
Yeah, man.
Good for y'all getting out of the diaper stage with both of them. And
oh my gosh, that's what we were talking about earlier. Like the amount of savings that you get from formula if you have to go that route, which we did, and diapers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, you get an instant pay raise.
Yeah. And Emma she's not in kindergarten yet, right?
She's in kindergarten at her private daycare. Yeah.
Okay. But she hasn't started kindergarten in school.
Right.
Once that happens, you just look at that pay raise.
Oh my God.
So we had a birthday party this morning at 11. And I was talking with the dad of the kid whose party it was. And he was, this is his last one, right? His youngest about to be out. And he was like, I just can't wait for the pay raise that's coming. I mean, you're looking, I think I know. My guess is y'all pay roughly about what we pay for childcare.
And obscene amount, yes.
I don't mind saying
something every week.
Yes, I mean, you're looking at like a $10,000 to $12,000 pay raise. Getting them
easy.
Yeah,
easy. Oh yeah, it is going to be celebration time, and just like we won't even know what to do. And then when we get both of them out, my gosh, it's just it's going to be uncontrollable. That is for a different story for a different time. But yeah, can't even wait for that kind of stuff to happen. So yeah, the lack of paying for formula and diapers is like a little teaser, Kyle, before you head into the land of no daycare, which is nice.
Yep. And we did it once with Wrigley, but we just happened to have a third one that fell right in. So as we got one out, we put one in, and
Yep. Daddy's going to work a little bit longer.
But hey, we gotta get to May. We can get to May, Jack's out.
That's right. And it's that's the sacrifices that we make for our children. Am I right?
Welcome. You are absolutely welcome to that segue.
I am, and it's a great segue, Kyle, because one thing I wanted to talk about was, we back in the day, we had made this pitch that we were going to bring up an all pro dad article or topic every show until somebody came on our show, and yeah, we dropped that like a bad habit.
That's because nobody would come on the show.
Yeah, they basically didn't return our messages, but they said, "Hey, good for you," but yeah, no thanks. But I did come across this article this morning. It's an article, also has a video. I'm not going to play the video, but essentially the video is it's Tony Dungy. Everybody knows Tony Dungy. If you're watching this show, you know who Tony Dungy is. He was a NFL, is he Hall of Famer?
I think he's a Hall of Fame coach.
Okay, but played in the NFL.
Yeah,
coached numerous places, most notably for the Bucks and for the Colts. Coach Peyton Manning.
He's the one that built the John Gruden Super Bowl team in Tampa Bay, and then he goes up there and wins one with Peyton in Indianapolis. Yep,
absolutely. So he's a big piece of this all-pro dad deal, and so the video comes out, and he's talking about sacrifices that parents make for their kids, and he talked about his dad. I believe he said when his dad was like in his 60s, in his 40s, he took a job that was about an hour away from their family. And at that point in time, Tony, and I believe he said his youngest sister, were both in high school, and they just did not want to move and change schools. And so the dad made the sacrifice of driving every day an hour to go to work. So that way they wouldn't have to change schools, and made that sacrifice. And then Tony said, I followed, that was so impactful to me that when I left Tampa, I left my kids in Tampa with my wife and went to Indy by myself flying home, whenever I could, because I wanted my kids to finish up school. And so I thought it was a really great topic, just talking about the sacrifices that we make. We've already talked financially with diapers and formula and daycare and all of that. But, I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we do make a lot of sacrifices as parents for kids.
Oh, absolutely.
I remember when we first had Emma, just thinking like, man, you don't realize how selfish of a person you are. Really, one, when you get married, and then two, because you have to now think of someone else before yourself, but then when you have kids as well. So what, maybe just some thoughts or kind of what you thought about when you read the article or heard the video.
Yeah. I mean, those types of things, it's usually not a pat on the back. It's usually get me as, am I doing enough?
Sure.
And so that's exactly where my mind went was, am I doing enough? Am I doing what I need to do for my family, making sacrifices I need to make sure that they are in a better spot today than they were yesterday. And in some places I think I am, in some places I think I'm not, and I have places to grow. And so that was my big takeaway. I don't know. Maybe you read it and you started patting yourself on the back for all of the great things you do, but you're a better dad than me. So.
I mean, I did pat myself on the back quite a bit and said, "Man, I'm awesome." But no, in all seriousness, I do think it's, when you become a parent, like it just you do have to make sacrifices, and sometimes those sacrifices are inconvenient. I mean, I think of earlier today, like I had just started at the grill and we were going to grill hot dogs and brats and stuff in the back, but the kids saw the neighbors outside and they really wanted to go out there. And I was like, all right, I'm going to start the grill. And then, I'll, instead of hanging out in here and drinking a beer and watching a little football and then checking on the grill periodically, I'll go out front and I'll watch you play with the kids for 15, 20 minutes. And that's fine. And that's something I'm happy to do. But I think that there are times where it is like it's a big sacrifice, the things you make, and I think that predominantly we accept that and we're okay with that because they're our children and we want to do what's best for them and we want to do things that make their lives special and better. And so I know that there are times in which I'm just like, oh God.
Yep.
But I think once you kind of go through those moments and you get to the other side of it, you're like, okay, I'm glad that I did that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the big one is just doing the things you don't want to do. Because there's so many times it's like, no, I don't want to read that book for the 8,000th time, right?
Yep.
But whatever, I'll do it anyways.
Yep.
And I'll do it with all of the gusto, and I'll have the voices, and I'll do everything I'm supposed to do. But I don't really want to do this.
Yep. But I also think it's also important that we acknowledge the fact that we have to give ourselves a little bit of grace. So, like, for instance, if your child wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, you're like, all right, I'm gonna sacrifice a little bit of sleep here, and I'm just gonna hang out with them. But I'm also just gonna put the TV on, and I'm gonna lay down on this couch, and hopefully that they just watch it, and I can get an extra like half hour of sleep.
Yeah, you go.
So you gotta have a little grace for yourself. The times in which you're just like, nah, screw it. Like there's got to be a mutual beneficial thing going on here where I need to get mine too. If you know what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah. You got to take care of yourself. You can't neglect yourself. So I agree.
No doubt about it. Well, Kyle, let's shift gears to college football. Like I said, it was a wild weekend in college football, rivalry weekend. And I mean, it lived up to kind of the hype or whatever you want to call it. I mean, you think from Michigan, Ohio State, which was kind of the first game of the day or the first big game, all the way to Bedlam. You talked about the game that shall not be named. It was just a fun couple of days in college football, regardless of some of the upsets and things that happened. But just, I mean, it's just fun, man. It's just awesome.
It is. And it's fun. I sat there and I watched that Michigan-Ohio State game. I love the way Michigan plays football.
Yeah. Yep.
I love Harbaugh just turning around and giving the ball to Hassan Haskins. And I mean, that dude was something else. That Michigan offensive line deserves a lot of credit. They were opening holes all day. Hopefully not hose. But after the game, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that's on the recruiting trips.
But yeah, so that was a great game.
Yeah.
So Saturday, we actually went, me and the wife and the kids, met my sister-in-law, and she is now, and I think I told you this, she's now fostering two kids. So,
Mhm.
we're already saying like these are your cousins because it sure looks like they're going to be around for at least a couple years, if not longer. And then my wife's aunt and uncle and their two kids, and one of them's married, and so their son-in-law and a grandmother. We all went and watched Encanto, which I don't know if you've seen the commercials for, but it's the new Disney movie. It's actually a really good movie. I highly suggest you go watch it. It's got a deeper meaning if you look for it.
Sure.
But I didn't watch a lot of the Iron Ball. I pulled my phone out when I thought the game would be over just to check the score, and it was 20-20, finishing up the second overtime. And I was like, what is going on here? And I didn't realize that after the second overtime, it was just like penalty shots.
Yeah,
and
2-point conversions.
I didn't realize that was the rule now.
Well, before you continue there's something that I wanted to bring up about that game, and I talked about this with my father-in-law tonight, and he was kind of on the fence. So Auburn, Auburn's got the lead basically the entire game. Alabama comes back, ties it up to send it to overtime at 10-10 or something like that. They go through the first overtime. Alabama scores first. Auburn comes in, scores the touchdown. And at some point in time, Alabama had just scored a touchdown, kicks the extra point, so they're up 7. Auburn then scores. I'm sitting there and I look at Suzanne and I say, you have to go for 2 here.
Yeah.
You're 6-5. You're at home. You got the momentum of just scoring. 6-5 or 7-5 and 6-6. There's not a whole lot of difference in what bowl you're going to get there.
Yeah.
You have to go for 2. Clearly, they have a 2-point play that they work on because they used it the next time and got it.
Yeah.
And you said you didn't see the game, but thinking through that scenario, Are you going for 2 or are you kicking the extra point?
I think it's real easy to look at how the game ended and say, oh, they should have gone for 2 there. I think that makes it really easy to play, Monday morning quarterback or armchair quarterback or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Here's what I know being a former football coach. If you're at home, you never put it on that. You kick the field goal, you go to the next overtime. I get the other 6-6, 7-5. You're not expected to be here anyways, but you're here. Might as well make the best of it. I get all that. But you got Brian Harsin, and he'll take his risk, but I feel like he's very calculated in that. Just watching him coach, that's not a calculated risk to go for 2 there. Kick it, go win it in the next OT, which they should have. I mean, they held Bama to a field goal in that third OT or second OT or whichever one it was.
Yeah,
they held them to a field goal. The problem is they had kicked field goal as well.
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, I maybe it's just the riverboat gambler in me, but I like the minute they scored, I looked to Suzanne. I was like, you got to go for it. Like this. You got nothing to lose, and I get what you're saying about being at home, and the calculated risk and all that. But I think I guess I'm much more of like you got nothing else to lose. You weren't supposed to be in this position anyways. Go for the win. You got all the momentum at that point in time. Let me ask you one more thing just about, again, you've got Michigan, Ohio State, you've got Bedlam, you got Iron Bowl, you've got Kentucky routing Louisville. Yeah, I'm going to throw it in. All this fun football that day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, after I watched the Bedlam game, which was just phenomenal, I just sat back and thought, like, and you know me, I mean, I predominantly like basketball, but when it really boils down to it, man, like it just doesn't get any better than college football. Like it just doesn't.
Yeah.
And I know that people, especially that live in bigger cities, especially that are not in the South, are going to argue that. But at the end of the day, like, tell me a sport that's better than college football.
Well, and here's the thing: why is it that college basketball doesn't get the same attention until March? And it really comes down to one thing. Sorry, I just read Hathcock's comment.
Yeah, so Nick says biggest game of the weekend, Amory Panthers win the North half and are going to state. Congratulations to Nick Hathcock and the Amory Panthers in doing that, going to going to state. I'm interested to see who they play in that matchup. So,
anyways, sorry, I read that and I went blank on what we were talking about. Anything better. So here's the reason. Here's the reason that people really don't care about college basketball. And I think if you just look at like the viewership numbers, they would prove that I'm right here until March. And that's because there's too many games.
Right.
When there's a lot of games, games don't matter. And I get that the whole season matters, but an individual game doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you're playing 11 and 12 games, like all of a sudden every game counts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Jay Billis actually mentioned that at the end of the Duke Gonzaga game Friday night, which was a great game as well. He said in college basketball, teams can afford to do this. They can afford to play these games and lose because it's not the end of their season, because they've got, all they're really concerned about is their conference play and getting ready for the NCAA tournament. I was thinking more along the lines of comparing college football to NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, and the like.
But same idea. You have fewer games. College football, they play 12 games, at the 1A or FBS level, whatever I'm supposed to call it, right? They play 12 games. That's it. NFL's moved to 17. NBA, MLB, NHL, right? NBA and NHL are 82, 164 games, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
For MLB. It's insane the amount of games that are being played. And the game, I can lose a game and be okay. There are too many times that teams go undefeated that you can't lose a game. We still have 2 undefeated teams right now.
Right.
In Cincinnati and Georgia. You can't lose a game. Alabama knows that if they go in and they lose this SEC title game to Georgia, they're probably not in the top 4.
So let me ask you this, and I completely agree with everything you just said, and I am team #team college football all the way. So let's take a college football playoff game versus an NFL playoff game.
See, this is where you get me. It's an NFL playoff game. Give me that NFL playoff game, hands down.
Wow.
Hear me out. The NFL game is much faster than the college game.
Of course, yeah.
It's more sophisticated. And for me, that makes it more fun to watch.
I'll give you that.
I will say that the atmosphere around a college game is a lot better than the atmosphere at a pro game. But if I'm just going to sit down and watch a ball game at my house, the atmosphere doesn't matter because I'm not there.
I don't agree with that, because I think you can get caught up in the atmosphere whether you're at home or now. Being at the stadium is obviously much different, but I do think if you're watching a game in the middle of the season that, let's say you're watching Alabama play New Mexico State. Okay. Yeah. If you're an Alabama fan, you're going to enjoy that regardless. But if you're watching Alabama and Auburn in Jordan-Hare at night and that electricity, you can feel that through the TV. And there is nothing like it. I mean, you can I would match it against the freaking Super Bowl, which to me is still kind of lame. I just don't think that anything compares to the excitement, the atmosphere, the energy of a major college football game.
Yeah, I mean,
full display this weekend.
I agree. I mean, that you had snow showers coming down in Ann Arbor, and that thing was packed.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you had red, you had blue, and they were mixed in together, and they were having a good time. I get it. The atmosphere is there. Did I get sucked into the atmosphere? Absolutely not. I watched the Egg Bowl in Starkville as a Mississippi State fan. And did I get sucked into the atmosphere of the Egg Bowl at the beginning of the game? I understand later in the game it did not go well. But at the beginning of the game when it was close and we were playing them close, did I get sucked in? No. I just watched the game.
Oh, man.
Now, did I
the end of Bedlam last night, I could care less about both those teams. I was standing watching the end of that game just like, oh, man, what is about to happen? I mean, because it's awesome. Because it is awesome. And there's nothing that can match it. And next year, when you and I are in South Bend for Clemson, Notre Dame, I'm going to look at you and say, Kyle, match this at an NFL stadium anywhere.
I've already told you, I'm not going to be able to match it.
Yeah.
I will not be able to match it. You've been to Seattle. That's supposed to be one of the best atmospheres.
Impressive.
I would love to be
Death Valley, and it's not a Death Valley.
I've been to Death Valley. I was at Death Valley when Eli Manning rolled into town, and we went and watched him there. That's still probably the best atmosphere I've ever watched a football game in.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. I went to New Orleans the day after and called a Saints game. Nothing. It doesn't compare.
Yep.
Now, they say that the Superdome now on a right game, a Monday night game, a Sunday night game against the Falcons, that place is rocking. And I think it can get loud, but there's something different when you're talking about a bunch of college football fans and a bunch of pro football fans.
Yep.
And I really don't know what the difference is, but I agree that the atmosphere is different.
Yep.
The only thing I'm going to say is if I'm going to sit down and watch a game, and I can choose between a college playoff game, I can choose between Georgia and Notre Dame in a semifinal, or the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. I'm going to watch that Cowboys-Buccaneers game. I know you think I'm crazy. I can see you just staring at me.
I mean, I'm probably the one that's crazy. I think there's millions of people that agree with you. And I completely get what you're saying is about the sophistication and I mean, because they're professionals. They're at the top. They're the best at their craft. And so yeah. I completely get that. Nick says difference is vested individuals in the school. That's completely true. If you're a diehard fan, you're watching your team. But I mean, I think it also goes for even again, last night I'm sitting there literally standing in my living room while everyone else is asleep at Bedlam, just like, oh my gosh, what's about to happen? Let's talk top four, Kyle, because we did have we've had some shakeup and some things to move around. So if you're looking at the top four, if you're on the selection committee and you're putting in your votes for the top four on Tuesday night, who is your top four teams, and then who are your 5 and 6?
So top four, I'll go 4-1 just to make it. No, let's go 1-4 because everybody knows one. Yep. Number 1 is Georgia, and yep. I don't think we're going to differ there. Number 2 is Michigan, and I don't know that we're going to disagree there.
Right.
Number 3 is Cincinnati, and as of right now, Alabama is still number 4. As of right now, I got Oklahoma State at 5, and I got Notre Dame at 6. And one of those two teams needs to be ready to move up and take that 4 spot. I'm just going to say that.
I've got basically the same thing, but I flopped Oklahoma State and Alabama. I think that the committee has proven that they flip week to week and move people around, and they basically say every week we're reseeding this. And I think they're going to look at what Oklahoma State did. Winning that game, I know it was at home, but the way that they won that game and beat a top 10 team, and then the way Alabama struggled, I think they're going to put Oklahoma State at number 4, knowing that it doesn't matter because this is all going to shape out in one way or the other.
Well, you say that, but let's look at what could happen. Let's look at chaos, right? Like let's say Bama beats Georgia, right? Let's say Baylor beats Oklahoma State, right? Let's say Iowa comes in and beats Michigan. What do you do then?
I think if that happens, I think Alabama's definitely in.
I think Georgia's still in.
I think Georgia's definitely in.
Cincinnati,
in. And then I think it's Baylor. I think if Baylor is the Big 12 champ, I know they'd have 2 losses, but they're the Big 12 champ and they knock off Oklahoma State. It also probably depends on where Oklahoma State is in this poll. In this year,
I agree, but let me ask you this: if you're talking about putting a 2-loss team in, whether or not they won the Big 12 or not, you don't think Ohio State's a better 2-loss team than Baylor?
That's a great question. I'm glad I don't have to be the one that decides that.
Because what I see is them willing to put the 4 best teams in there and not care about everything else, and it come down to the eye test.
Yeah,
do you pass the eye test?
There's a lot of truth to that.
I mean, am I looking forward to? And then here's the thing. If you go ahead and you put Ohio State into that top 4 and you leave Michigan out, they're both a 2-loss team. Michigan beat Ohio State on the field. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Imagine the insanity that could happen
Oh,
on
yeah.
championship weekend.
I know. And I'm here for all of it.
That is what I want. There's
Yep.
a line that the Joker says in The Dark Knight. Or not the Joker, Alfred says in The Dark Knight. And he's talking to Bruce about the Joker, and he says that some people just want to watch the world burn. When it comes to college football, that's me. I just want to watch the world burn.
And I know we've alluded to this already, but remember back 4 months ago when we said, "Oh, here we go again. It's Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State," and here we have Michigan, Cincy, Oklahoma State. We potentially have Baylor in the mix. All these new teams are not new, but it's potentially a fresh look at a playoff. Which if you could have Georgia, Michigan, Cincinnati, and Oklahoma State, how fun would that be?
That would be fun. A Georgia Oklahoma State semifinal and a Cincy Michigan semifinal. That Michigan Cincinnati game would be so much fun to watch because you got Luke Fickell, who I don't know why there are schools, and I'm just going to kind of like what do you call it in this business? A tease?
Yeah,
I'm going to tease something here. You got all these different schools that are already hiring coaches, and you got Luke Fickell at Cincinnati. I understand they're moving to the Big 12, but let's be honest, the Big 12 that is going to be the Big 12 is not going to be the Big 12.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's that Power 5 may devolve into a Power 4. And I to me, Luke Fickell is that next great coach. I don't know why people are filling the vacancy until I can't get that guy.
Sure. Yep. Well, speaking of that, let's go ahead and kind of go down that road. So Nick mentioned, will Lincoln Riley finish out? Surely he will. So Lincoln Riley, it has been reported and confirmed. Lincoln Riley, where just 2 days ago it sounded as if he was heading to Baton Rouge, is now heading to LA, and he is the new head coach of the USC Trojans. I don't know that anybody saw that move coming. So he leaves Oklahoma, fresh off a loss at Bedlam last night, as we've talked about, heading to Los Angeles. I was shocked.
I was too, and quite frankly, it doesn't make sense.
He's scared of the SEC. That's all.
I mean, that's very possible, and I don't know that I blame him.
Sure,
to be honest with you, but it shocks me because it's there. You have LSU with that money, with that fan base, with those facilities that are willing to spend the money to make the facilities better, and you go to LA where they haven't invested in facilities in years, which is why you can't recruit to USC or UCLA. Chip Kelly is the type of guy that can build something if he's given the resources, and he can't do it at UCLA. Lincoln Riley, what makes you think you can do it at USC?
Yeah.
It's not there. Baton Rouge was there. And here's the thing. I don't think it's the SEC. I think it's Nick Saban. You go to LSU, you got to play Nick Saban every single year. A Nick Saban coached Bama team every single year. Is that really what you want to do? Maybe LA is better.
Yeah. Well, so Lincoln Riley runs off to LA afraid of the SEC. Billy Napier, on the other hand, says, I want Bama. We want Bama. Just bring it on. So Billy Napier leaves Louisiana and he's went from the Raging Cajuns to the Gator Chomp. He is the next coach of the Florida Gators, replacing Dan Mullen there. Napier's been somebody that's on people's radar for the last couple of seasons. He's been that hot coach name out there for at least 2 or 3 seasons. And he finally kind of pulls the trigger and says, this is where I want to go. And he's the next guy at Florida. Florida, since Urban Meyer left, had Muschamp. They had,
God, I can see.
Yeah. Who was after Muschamp?
It was an offensive guy that was still kind of boring. That I can't think of it. Can't think of his name.
Well, I can't either.
I can see him.
If somebody else has that, I'll try to pull it up here in a second. But anyways, and then Dan Mullen, just in the SEC championship game last year, Florida was, and they fired Mullen, and now they bring in Billy Napier. Hasn't obviously gotten the job done at a high level Power 5 school. Is he the guy for the Gators that can get them back to national prominence and competing for SEC and national championships.
Well, look, he's won basically everywhere he's gone. Jill McElwain.
McElwain, yep, that's it.
That was the one. He's won everywhere he's been. He's won 11 games this year at Louisiana. That's the name I've been saying. I said 4 years ago when Mississippi State, when Mullen left to go to Florida, I said State needs to hire Billy Napier. When Joe Moorhead was out after 2 years, I said it's Billy Napier. And neither time did we get him. And I'm not so sure he didn't just say no to us. I love Billy Napier as a coach. I hope he does well. Hopefully every time he plays the Maroon and White Bulldogs, we win. But as far as the little bit I know about Billy Napier, I've never heard a bad thing about him. And I just love the way his teams play. They play hard. It's a fun system, it looks like. So,
well, you talked about USC not investing in facilities and not being a place where somebody can just really go in and win. They do that at Florida. I mean, that football is the king for the Gators. And I mean, really, you think of recently within the last 7 or 8 years. I mean, Florida's owned the state of Florida in terms of the product on the field, and they haven't even been that good, and they still have done that because Miami, Florida State. I mean, I guess you could say UCF did for a year or two, but I mean, and that state is so rich in terms of high school talent and recruiting. That's why everybody goes there. But yeah, I think it's home run hire for Florida.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad hire at all. Here's one thing I'll say though, and we've talked about this before, but you got Coach O out at LSU, and you got Dan Mullen out at Florida. And Nick said something about vested individuals in the school. I get it, but man, you got Coach O who lives and breathes LSU football, who sounds like he should be coaching LSU football. You got Dan Mullen, who, I mean, let's be honest, like Florida is not, it's not the South the way Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee.
Panhandle's pretty. There's a lot of jorts in the Panhandle.
It's still Florida. It's not quite the South. And so Dan Mullen kind of fits there. Urban Meyer kind of fits there. I felt like you had good fits, and they got rid of you at the first sign of trouble. I don't know. For whatever reason, that bothers me.
Sure.
You got one guy who won a national title 2 years ago, and I saw improvement in his team every week. He had a young quarterback trying to run a fairly sophisticated system in Max Johnson. It's going to take time. It took Joe Burrow a year before he came back and did what he did.
Yeah.
Max Johnson had a COVID year, which doesn't count. Like that should just be wiped off. And this year's year one. Next year's where you should see the big jump.
Well, and they've had so many guys leave early, and they had injuries. Yes. I mean, Butte, their best player, best wide receiver, was out. Stingley barely played at all this year. I mean, so there is so much talent. Whoever takes that job, and we'll talk about that in just a second. That is the gold mine. Absolutely. Of college coaching places.
But I think there's a lot of people that aren't going to want it because, again, you have to play Nick Saban once a year.
Yeah.
And who wants to do that?
Yeah. It definitely takes somebody who is who's willing to kind of accept the challenge and be able to kind of, take that on. So let's talk through a couple of quick hitters really quickly, just kind of a yes or no. Does Orgeron, I know he said he's not getting back into coaching, at least for one season. Does he fill Billy Napier's role, and does the Ragin' Cajun take over the Ragin' Cajuns?
God, I hope so. Wouldn't that?
Oh, I know. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Oh, that would be so nice.
That would be good. We'll see if it happens. OU, they had Lincoln Riley up until today. He bolts and takes off. Where do they go?
Well, and this is something I saw it on.
I know.
Okay, so you do know.
Made my blood pressure go up here, Kyle.
I saw it, and I didn't know if you saw it, and you didn't act like you had seen it. So I said, I'll tell you on the show. So you can act surprised for the listeners. But Bob Stoops is coming out of retirement to coach Oklahoma in the bowl game. Bob Stoops. Now, is he going to come back full time? I don't know. But I guarantee you Oklahoma's going to have a conversation with him about it.
Well, that's not what I thought you were going to say. I am actually surprised about that. What I thought you were going to say is Bob was going to call his little brother and say, "Hey, Mark."
I was getting there, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a before I brought up Mark Stoops.
I think if you're Mark Stoops, you can't do like you can't go try to fill. I mean, I know Lincoln Riley has been there for a while, 6 or 7 years, but you can't go try to fill your big brother's shoes at a place where he won a national championship, right?
I agree with you. I think if Mark Stoops leaves, he's headed to College Station. I know. Look at Nick Hathcock's last comment and just kind of, you can put that up on the screen.
Jimbo on the hot seat. Oh, so
someone got let go and Jimbo got beat by LSU Saturday night. I'm not saying they're going to get rid of Jimbo, but Jimbo has no buyout now. It's an easy break. And they had Kevin Sumlin, who's an offensive guy, Jimbo, who's an offensive guy. Maybe they need a defensive guy down there. And there's Mark Stoops, and look at what he's done at Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, Stoops' name has come up with LSU as well. I don't think
that's going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen. And I hope it's nowhere because that would be completely devastating.
Hey, you know what? I'll take it. I put a normal Kentucky hire in there so we can win most of the State Kentucky play every year. So we can win 3 out of 4.
So we've talked about LSU a lot here. I mean, Dave Aranda has been mentioned with that job, the head coach at Baylor. He was their defense coordinator when they won the title. Cliff Kingsbury. His name came up with Oklahoma as well.
But does he want to leave the NFL?
Right, where he's having some success.
Possibly the best team in the league this year. To go back to the college level. I don't see that.
So who do you think takes over? I mean, they got to name a coach within the next week, I would think. Fickle?
I don't know. Luke Fickle's there. And there's a lot of people that are saying, why not Jimbo? Again, there is no buyout.
Yeah.
And they flirted when Jimbo left Florida State.
Right. Well, yeah, Jimbo was the offensive coordinator there at LSU. I guess it was it 07?
Under Saban.
Yeah.
Under Saban when they won the title.
Yeah.
So does he want out of College Station? Does he look up and go like, we don't have what we need in College Station to win it all?
I don't know.
I mean, if you don't have it in College Station, do they have it in Baton Rouge?
That's what I was going to say. There's not many places that do have it if College Station does not. Well, time will only tell. We'll find out in just the next couple of weeks, really, where all these pieces fall, and it's going to be interesting to see. And then we'll get into bowl season with the 435 bowl games that will happen over the next couple of weeks. All right, Kyle, we've got a couple of things to finish up the show. One thing I've been wanting to get into the last couple of times we've had an episode was to finally finish up our best tailgate food bracket. We are down to the final 4. Kyle, we've had Nick Hathcock join us for a majority of this show on our live stream.
Yep.
So, Nick, you are still with us, and I'm going to let you be our tiebreaker vote in the event that we need it. Nick, I know you're on my team and not Team Kyle, so I'm excited about this. But Kyle, the
only reason Nick is because of me. So
I know, and somehow we've still survived despite you. So we're in a good place. Nick Hathcock and I both know Derek Moranto, and we go back much further than you and I do.
Sorry, who is Derek Moranto, and why do I not care?
Just ask Nick. He knows, and Derek and I go back since I was like a wee little lad before you and I even knew each other. So, wow. So in our first matchup, Kyle, we got cheese dip versus chili. Ooh. First matchup of the Final 4. Cheese dip was what seed was cheese dip? They were a 2 seed. Chili, the 2 seed as well, knocking off the number 1 seed Pig in a Blanket in their regional final. So you got cheese dip chili. What you got, Kyle?
Oh, this one's difficult. Look, the same thing, and most people probably don't remember this because it's been months since we've done this, but it comes down to versatility here. And I can do cheese dip in August. I can do cheese dip in the first weekend in December at the championship game. Chili, I can't do in August. Give me the cheese dip as much as it hurts me to say it.
Oh man, that was an argument that you made early on, and I've got to say that is a darn good argument. The versatility argument of when you can use it, when you can eat it, when it's in season, and cheese dip, whether you're doing it at a tailgate or Las Margaritas or any other Mexican establishment, or if you're throwing some Rotel in it.
Hey, look,
if you're calling it queso,
it'll be a hot plate.
Hot plate, no veg. Cheese dip is moving on. I also vote for cheese dip. Kyle, the second matchup is chicken wings, the number 1 overall seed versus pulled pork, which was a 6 seed. Pulled pork with the upset of the tournament in the Elite Eight, knocking off the heavy favorite chicken tenders, which should have won this bracket. So you got pulled pork and chicken wings. And Kyle, when I look at this, as I mentioned, the biggest upset of the tournament, chicken tenders going down. Pulled pork's got all the momentum. They're the hottest team in the tournament right now. They're the Cinderella story. And it is not quite yet midnight because nobody kicks off after midnight. We're not tailgating at midnight. And so pulled pork gets my vote to move into the championship over chicken wings.
So here I am. I can't make the versatility argument, right? I can eat chicken wings in August. I can eat them in December.
You can eat them for breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
I can eat pulled pork in August. I can eat it in December.
Put it on a sandwich. Eat it by itself. Put some slaw on it.
What do I do here? I don't know.
But they both are best served with sauce.
I don't know. Here's what I know. If I'm at a tailgate and I have chicken wings, sometimes they're smoked, sometimes they're grilled, sometimes they're fried. They're fried, they tend to have sauce on them. They have sauce, they're messy. Pulled pork, I can eat with a fork. Pulled pork, I can put on a bun. Put a little slaw on it, some hot barbecue sauce, maybe a few jalapenos. It's not as messy. And I love my chicken wings, I do. But I think, because I don't want to go into the game with stains down my shirt or my beard all sticky.
You can't have the stains. Your kids are going to have the stains. You can't have the stains.
Exactly. A 6 seed knocks off 2 number 1s on a Cinderella run. Indeed, and we have cheese dip and pulled pork in the finals. Sorry, dip. Nick. Apparently we don't need you. He agreed.
Well, he said pulled pork anyways. All right. Well, we're going to let Nick vote first. So we've got on this one, we've got pulled pork and we've got cheese dip in the final. Pulled pork, it's delicious. You can put all kinds of sauces with it. It's got natural flavors. If you smoke it, you get a little bark on it. It's got that extra little crunch. Cheese dip, again, it can go many different ways. You're talking queso, you're talking white cheese dip, you're talking Rotel. You do it with chips, you do it with vegetables. You can do it any way you want it. You can put it on things. Who doesn't love nachos? Nick Hathcock, you get the first vote. Cheese dip or pulled pork? What do you got, sir?
Or was that his vote?
I don't know. There is a message that says pulled pork, but I believe that was before I got. Oh, no, it was not. So the first vote is in, and Nick says cheese dip. Cheese dip gets 1 vote. Kyle, I will put it to you for the second vote. Is cheese dip crowned the best tailgate food champ, or are we heading to sudden death?
So you're starting to talk about all of the versatility of cheese dip.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get much more versatile.
And you mentioned white, queso blanco, cheese dip.
See,
you ever had Alabama white sauce on your barbecue?
I have.
That's some good stuff.
It is. Oh, it's good. Now, I will say, and we're getting into something that doesn't even matter, but we're talking food, so here we go. There is a you wouldn't think this, Kyle, but when we lived in Washington State, there was I guess a company, a business that produced various sauces, condiments, if you will, and a barbecue sauce that they produced. A place called Trilby's Barbecue.
Ooh.
Chipotle's? Yes. Chipotle Marionberry barbecue sauce.
That sounds like some liberal West Coast.
Knock your freaking socks off. The best barbecue sauce. So good that to this day, Kyle, we have some friends of ours that live up there still. Every once in a while, they will send me a bottle of Chipotle Marionberry. So John and Aaron, thank you guys very much for doing that. And send me another. I'm out.
All right. So I don't know about Chipotle and Marionberry. Here's what I know.
Dude, so good.
Here's what I know. Cheese dip is a side. Pulled pork is a main dish. And there's no way I can let a side win the whole thing. I'm going pulled pork, and you, Mr. Draper, are going to have to break this tie.
Oh, I'll break the tie. I will be happy to break the tie because you know what I'm doing, Kyle, is I'm breaking off a chip and I'm dunking it in some cheese dip. The winner of the inaugural Best Tailgate Food Bracket, the one, the only, you can find it in many different ways. Give it to me in Rotel version, cheese dip. Throw a little ground beef in, maybe even a little shredded chicken in along with that.
See, you're doing it wrong.
No.
You need some chorizo.
Right, chorizo.
No, chorizo. Some chorizo. Say it right.
I had a comment. I'm going to hold it to myself. Cheese dip is the winner of
chorizo.
Chorizo bracket, and this show is going off the rails. So before we get ourselves in trouble, we are going to our picks, Kyle. We got championship week. I will go first. We're starting with the Pac-12. It's on Friday night. Got Pac-12 after dark Friday night. Oregon and Utah. Give me the quack Ducks to bounce back after a couple losses and get a win over the Utes. I will take Oregon, the Pac-12 champs.
No, give me the Utes. What is a Ute? I don't even know what a Ute is.
See, that's why it doesn't matter. A duck would take it out regardless. So
give me whatever a Ute is. Looks like maybe a Native American because of the feathers. So maybe like Utah is named for the Utes people that live there. That's going to be my guess.
That's a reach.
That's my guess.
What is not a reach is Baylor playing Oklahoma State for the Big 12 championship. We've already talked about this a little bit. You get the Bears. Could they knock off Oklahoma State, sneak into the playoff, and try to go for a two-free with a college basketball and college football title in the same seasons-ish? You get the Bears. You got OK State.
Give me the Pokes. Give me the Cowboys from Oklahoma State. I think they're too good. Baylor's a good team, but I think Oklahoma State's just a little bit better.
Well, as you know, my dog's name is Baylor.
That's true.
I've got some good friends from down in Texas that went to Baylor, but none of that is going to lead me to pick Baylor. I'm also going with the Mullets, the Fighting Mullets, and going OK State, winning that game as well. All right, Kyle, they will be without a coach, what I believe. At least they will be. Louisiana taking on App State in the Sun Belt. This is a rematch from a game already this season they already played. You get the Raging Cajuns minus their head coach. You get App State.
You know what? Napier's built him a team. I'm still going to take Louisiana there.
All right, I'm going App State. Mountain West championship game, Utah State. I believe that we will win versus San Diego State, the Fighting Marshall Fawkes. Yes, that's the name of it. Marshall Fawkes. Who you got, Kyle?
San Diego State.
I will also take San Diego State. They are the Aztecs, if I remember.
They are the Aztecs.
All right, Kyle. SEC championship game: the Bulldogs versus the Tide. Saban versus one of his former coaches. We've already had a former coach beat Saban this year. Can they go 2 times? Former coach beating Saban in the same year. Kirby and the Dogs taking out the Tide. I will vote first. It's one that our family has a lot of interest in for obvious reasons. And I hate to disappoint that side of my family, but I'm going the Dogs. I think at least by 10-14, I'll take Georgia.
I want to take Georgia. I really do. I think they're a better team. But there's something about Nick Saban. And I'm going to pick the Tide to actually pull this one out. Close, very close. But I think –
so do you think that Georgia still makes the playoff in that?
Yes.
Okay.
A one-loss Georgia losing an SEC title game and a close game to Bama, yeah.
Okay. American Conference Championship, Cincinnati undefeated. They're playing Houston, Houston's a top 25 team.
They are.
They've got a lot of talent down there in Houston. Can they knock off Cincinnati and knock them out from the playoff picture?
If you're going to pick a upset, I think this is the smartest one to pick. I did not pick the smartest one picking Bama. Like, just everybody hear me say that. But I'm not going to pick an upset here. I'm going to pick Cincinnati. I think that those kids are they are so ready to just shut everybody else up and say, we are for real.
I'll do the same and go with the Bearcats to solidify their spot in the playoff. We'll finish with the last two. So we'll go ACC first. So Pitt versus Wake Forest in the ACC championship game. Who you got?
Give me Pitt.
I am going to go. We'll say Wake Forest. I think it'll be. I like Wake Forest. You know, I've been kind of on that train all season long. I'm going to stick with the Deeks.
Speaking of Wake Forest, just real quick, going back to coaching carousel, Dave Clawson, head coach of Wake Forest. Don't be surprised if he doesn't get pulled somewhere. He may even be an LSU pick. Go ahead.
Interesting. Well, in that case, if there's some controversy there and he's not completely on board with his team for the ACC championship game, I have to switch my pick. But for right now, I'll stay with Wake. Last game, Kyle. Big Ten, Michigan. Such an emotional win.
Mm-hmm.
Can they hold on, bounce back from that emotional game, and defeat Iowa, who, if you remember the first playoff release this season, Iowa was number 2 or 3.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So Iowa, I mean, they've had a good season, not as good as they were hoping for. Can Michigan pull it off and solidify a spot in the playoff?
Can they? Absolutely. The style of football they play, it's not emotional. It's not big plays. It's ground and pound. But I don't know, like, Harbaugh finds a way to lose big games. And he hadn't done that yet this year. I mean, I guess you can call the Michigan State game a big game, but
yeah,
he's been able to overcome it. I'll be honest, there's a big part of me that wants to pick Iowa. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick Iowa. I'm just going to pick the upset. Why not? Let's go with the Hawkeyes.
You must have read my notes, Kyle. I also am going with the Hawkeyes in the big upset. I got to go with my boys, Kirk Ferentz and the Iowa Hawkeyes knocking off Michigan. Really quickly, and then we got to get out of here. But who on earth is going to New York for the Heisman ceremony? Like, this is one of those years where there just is not a huge front runner. I mean, I guess it sounds like
gonna be 3
Bryce
of them,
Young.
I think. Bryce Young, Matt Corral, and there's another quarterback.
C.J. Stroud.
C.J. Stroud, thank you. Yeah, I think those are the 3 that go. I think right now Stroud is the favorite, the Vegas favorite to win it. Take that for what you want.
Is it just me, or does this, like, I mean, I know there have been years where it's been really close in terms of voting and there wasn't a clear cut. And maybe it's just because of kind of the diversity and the parity within college football this year. But, you know, usually going into the last week or two, we have a pretty good idea, or at least a pretty good idea of like, hey, these 3 have separated themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel like we don't really have that. Like, you know, people are talking up Jordan Davis from Georgia. People are talking about the Michigan State running back. People are talking up all kinds of different players across the country that have a legitimate chance. And usually it's the best player on the best team. And if you're looking at that, I don't know that it's not Jordan Davis from Georgia, but I don't think he's going to get an invite. His stats are not.
He doesn't have stats, but that's not what he does. He dominates where he dominates, and he just takes away part of the field. That's why it's so hard for a defensive player to actually win unless that defensive player is in the middle of the defense where they have to go.
Right.
And basically they just run outside from Georgia because they know if Jordan Davis is there, they're not going to run. And I don't know if you've seen a picture, but there was a picture of him. There was like 3 guys, right? And one of them they said was like a normal, like 6 foot tall, 200 and probably 15, 20 pound guy. Then there was a 6'4", 315 pound Georgia player. And then there was Jordan Davis. And just Jordan Davis is massive, a massive man. But I don't know.
Mountain of a man.
I don't think it's going to matter. It's going to be a quarterback. I think it's going to be C.J. Stroud just based on the Vegas lines. This is another one that we're going to look up. And when I say the name Jason White, you're going to go, who?
Right.
But he won the Heisman coming out of Oklahoma under Bob Stoops. And nobody knows who that guy is. And I think we're going to get the same thing out of this year's class. Like, who knows and who really cares?
Does it matter that Bryce Young, clearly this could backfire. He has a game and those other 2 guys don't this weekend. And predominantly, you kind of hear like, some voters get in their vote before the last game, but a lot of them also wait for championship Saturday. If it goes well for Bryce, and he kind of had that Heisman moment at the end of the Iron Bowl. He led them down the field. They went 98 yards to tie the game, and then came back and got the 2-point conversion. If he has a good game and the other 2 guys don't play,
he's got a shot to leave the voters with a good feeling about him.
Yep.
That the other 2 don't have. Sure. Does it really matter though? He's playing that Georgia defense.
That he is. All right, Kyle. Well, we got to get out of here. We'll see what happens. We'll be back next week. We're going to talk all about those championship games and the Final Four and all that. We're also going to be joined by Brian Hoke. He covers the Yankees for the MLB Network. Having him on, we're just going to talk some dad life and then also Major League Baseball, talk a little bit about kind of what happened this past year and looking forward to maybe who are some of those favorites heading into next season. We're looking forward
winter meetings and a lockout, right? We got winter meetings and a lockout on the horizon.
I know all kinds of fun stuff going on. Plus, we got a lot of dad topics to talk with him as well. So we're looking forward to having him join us next week. So we will be back and we will see you then. This has been Dads Watching Sports. Y'all take care.